Let's go. We got audio. Saad talks about the whirlwind 24 hours for him.
I ended up getting here really late. Coach took me in, got me the playbook a little bit, trying to catch me up. Didn't really have time to process it. Threw me out here today to test the water, I guess. Everything went well, but besides that, yeah, everything is going well. The whole process has been, again, like hectic, as I said, with the signing, the rookie camp, and all that stuff. But it's been going good for sure.
Yeah, wild 24 hours, Maz, right? Because he was at 49ers mini camp, then to Detroit to pack, and then to Saskatoon. And that's not a direct.
Oh. Fire your travel agent. That's not a comfortable flight schedule that you'd wish on anybody.
There's only so many ways to get to either Regina or Saskatoon. If you're from Detroit,
sure,
he's going to be good though. His presence is going to be good though, guys, because I remember when guys like Keith Sholigan came into camp. I think I had a little bit of that effect as well. But like whenever a guy comes in and there's depth at the Canadian spot that he's coming in at, you really get the other guys playing at the highest level possible. And I think that that's probably the biggest piece, is to have Ali, who's a first round pick, right? Again, just like Keith Sholigan, show up straight out of NFL OTAs, to have Charbel DeBeer, Lake Corte Moore there. We got a couple other Canadians on the defensive line. Like, that's jarring in terms of, oh man, this is a high pick. I need to get my stuff together here. And I think that you're going to see the benefit, not necessarily from Ali's side, because he's got to figure out the playbook and all that. But I do think that you're going to get better performances from the other guys in that depth this camp.
One of the things that I was wondering about, we talked about they're returning a lot of players, a lot of veterans coming back. Have you guys noticed anything about year two Corey Mason, the coaching staff? Anything that they've done, differences, improvements since year one? Try and take that next step as we chase this Grey Cup?
Well, that's why I made the comment that you can tell there's a core group, and this is a team that's got a lot of the pieces in place, because there wasn't a lot of actually, I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of energy, but the noise decibel for a team, I think that's probably everybody's really excited to see this year. I think that it was noticeable that like they weren't getting after it the way I think or anticipated maybe they would be. And again, it's only literally day two, and you've got the exhibition games 2 weeks away, unlike last year where you had it right on deck. So that might be into it. But again, I'm going to be really interested to see how this rolls out, because one of the things that you want to do, especially with the Saskatchewan Roughriders looking to be a lot of people's favorites here in the West, you want to see a quick start, right? So that quick start necessarily get founded here in the first day one and day two? I think that's left to be seen, and I'd be really curious to see what the coaches think of the film work.
Hey, Dave. You had a chance to talk to Saad. I'm going to let you throw to this one, because he talks about the adjustments, coming in here.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the things that I found interesting once the Riders drafted him, was that Ali Saad said, I haven't played the Canadian game since I was growing up, because high school, college, I played the American game. And he talked a little bit about the adjustment. Now, I'll talk to Luke in a second about this, because, of course, you made that adjustment from Michigan going to the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Canadian Football League. But here's what Ollie found about his first workout with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the biggest adjustment was that 1 yard off the line of scrimmage.
That was my biggest issue, is getting used to that 1 yard off the ball. It's just like getting your footwork right. Honestly, that was the main thing, is getting your feet right. Especially because I like to like move around a little. I like to hesitate and stuff. I'm not a bull rush type of guy, but if I have to do it, I have to do it. But today, based on the situation, because of that one, I had to
broadcasting from Century
a little bit more, then do some hezzy move because of that 1 yard. I felt like it's a big difference, of course. It's just something I need to perfect as time goes on.
Luke, like, whose advantage is it that 1 yard off the line of scrimmage, and how big of an adjustment?
Well, initially, it's the offensive lineman's advantage, obviously, right? But you have to remember that it's an adjustment for the O-line as well, right? Because they're used to footwork and hand placement right off the snap of the ball, especially the guys that are coming from the American system. So it's an adjustment in terms of timing for them as well. Ali will get used to it. As a matter of fact, I mean, this guy played a lot of football and a lot of high-level football in Bowling Green. But one of the things that he referenced is his hezzy move, or his ability to be a little bit more active than just say your normal bull rushing nose tackle. And I think that for him, he'll start realizing that there's distinct advantages if you're a guy that wants to use some athletic moves and occupy a lot of space while you're rushing the passer. I think that it'll play in well to him. He's just got to adjust. And the other piece about that too is when I talk about adjustment too, is the biggest piece of that is getting the playbook down. And the reason why I say that is because that's how you start to play fast, is when you know and you're confident what you're doing out there.
That's what we hear from Coach Mace, because he talks about what it's going to take to get Sod up to speed.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, just about time. You know, it's going to take some reps for him to get used to that, and then also understanding what we got going on as it pertains to the Canadian game and line play. You know, I think he landed last night and got with the coach. He was up probably till midnight trying to learn the playbook so that he can get out here and have an idea. And I thought he showed well today. You know, there's, of course, going to be a few mistakes, but, you know, you give him a little bit of grace. He's only been here less than 24 hours. But, you know, he showed really well in the one-on-one pass rush as well. He's certainly the guy that we expected to see.
A lot of us in Rider Nation are curious, and Luke and Dave would love to know, Mike Rose, 2 days in, as advertised, is there gas left in that tank? And what have you seen?
I would say gas in the tank, fire in the belly from what I saw. He was competing hard today, especially, I thought, in the one-on-one drills.
Yeah, the one-on-one drills, he stood out. I think that he's also a veteran that's getting sort of the lay of the land in terms of, his role as a defensive lineman, a veteran defensive lineman in that group, but more importantly also with the playbook, right? I don't think he's playing at as fast in the team drills as he can. And again, that comes when you're just trying to figure out, okay, alignment, assignment, execution. Do I have some support to make a two-lane pass rush sort of attempt here and things like that. I think that for a guy like Mike Rose, it's going to take a couple days to really get the lay of the land in terms of and get his feet settled. And again, that's kind of the battle that all these guys go through, right? Offensive linemen normally take a couple days to get their feet set. Defensive line is no different, right? He's going to get to figure out just kind of what the tendencies of the guys he's playing with as well. And I think that when you throw pads on guys like Mike Rose, then all of a sudden that extra gear kicks in and you see why he's been one of the best D tackles in the Canadian Football League for the last couple of years.
I'm really curious. You know what I'm curious about, Camp? When is the first? We should have an over-under. We should have a bet. When's the first time that Coach May stops practice and really rips everyone a new one? Because remember last year, he sent that message. He sent that message quite early. I'm going to say Thursday. Over-under. Around the horn.
I think probably over. I don't know that he has to do that this year. I think he's got veterans in place that he doesn't have to do that. He was quite frustrated in the fact that guys were jumping off sides today on the defensive line. And instead of yelling and screaming or making them run wind sprints, they were just automatically subbed out. You jumped offside. Sorry, you lose your rep. Next guy up.
Yeah, I think that I would agree with Dave. You've got year two of a coaching staff, and I think that Coach Mace has come in here with a little bit different outlook. Last year, a lot of what we saw was in an effort to create a culture and an expectation around what's going to be or who and how you're going to play if you're a Saskatchewan Roughrider. I think that this year it's more about execution, getting prepared to make a run at a serious run at the Grey Cup, and more importantly, putting the accountability on the players. Last year, it was heavily on the coaches in terms of the accountability and the rollout of practice and the energy levels. This year, I think that Coach Mace is going to want to leave it to that core group of players that they have in the locker room.
Dave, on Friday when we chatted, you mentioned Antoine Brooks and how good he looked in rookie camp. Has he been able to take what he did Wednesday to Friday and transfer that to Sunday and Monday in the defensive scheme? A lot of us loved him last year in camp, but he never made it on the roster. He was a practice roster guy all year. Is he a guy that you're thinking is going to make that leap?
That's a difficult question because I don't think he took a step back at all. He's definitely taken a step forward, but so have the players around him. Because I would submit that, look at the linebacker core, look at the defensive backs you're bringing in. You're bringing in all-stars and all FLers from across the board. So there's nothing wrong that he's doing, but he's going to have to stand out. And again, it's going to be on film, I would suggest, right? If you're in the right place where you need to be, then you're going to be all right. But he had a terrific rookie camp, but the challenge now is carrying that over when the vets are there.
Yeah, these guys are in so tough when it comes to cracking a roster spot on the 2025 Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, you've got guys like CJ Rivas, you've got Scoop, you've got Elijah Thurman, you've got CJ Allen, you've got a defensive back rotation that looks already set. And today, the first pick 6 came from a rookie defensive back, right? So on defense, you're going to be hard-pressed to be able to crack this roster spot. You're going to have to, stand out on film in practice, and then whatever opportunity you get on special teams and in the rotation during the exhibition game, you've got to be flying around because this is a tough roster to crack this year.
Okay. We are going to catch up with you guys in hour 2 for Training Camp Report. The other over-under that I want is if there's a lot of people watching the stream right now, the way Luke is reclined, over under $9 he's lost in change out of his shorts that have been now fallen into the cracks of the chair. Possibly your cards too. Make sure you check that before you go home, Luke.
Oh, no, brother. Listen, if there's one thing that I am a pro at, it's relaxing and being lazy. So in lieu of that, I pre-arranged my cards and everything in my pockets to the table beside me. So I'm okay, boys. You know what I mean? That's why I was so relaxed when you guys stopped talking about the bear. I was, it was like I was being interrupted for my nap.
The over-under we all know is who's going to eat more chicken wings here at the Red Zone Sports Bar behind the Saskatoon Travel Lodge, because I'm starving and they're dynamite, man.
Yeah, they're good. Well, listen, I mean, the Red Zone it's awesome. I mean, look how many screens we got. We should definitely be catching some NBA and NHL playoff action here, man. I'm excited.
Yes,
Shanks, you got to come up, man.
Watch some bear videos. Get one of them on a nature channel. Things you can learn. Well, listen,
okay. So now that we have talked a little bit of football, I know we got to go, but listen, I've been to Whistler in Alberta. Like, those are bears. Like,
have you been to the Whistler in BC?
What?
Have you been to the Whistler in BC?
Yeah, Whistler, BC. That's what I'm talking about, man. Those are real
Alberta.
Bears.
You said Whistler,
sorry.
Alberta.
Well, no, I've been to Alberta as well. Sorry. Whistler and Alberta. I mean, I've seen some of those pre-fall bears when they're done eating and are about to. Man, those are bears.
Quit poking the bear, for heaven's sakes.
What's the big one, like the general or the sheriff, or every year they talk about him in like Canmore area, and he's like the father of like.
Oh yeah. He's sired like 80% of the bear population.
He's been hit by like 14 trains over. Like this is all. This isn't.
The trains got the worst of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boss.
That's it. All right. Okay. Eat some chicken wings, boys. We'll regroup in hour 2. Dave and Luke are back reclining at the Red Zone in Saskatoon. That's where you'll find them, right behind the Travel Lodge. Are you guys in the Rider Room? Are you in the Rider Room, or where are these loungers located, Dave?
Yeah, we are in the Rider Room. It's adorned with all kinds of Rider memorabilia. There's Getzlaff to the left, Corey Sheets behind Luke.
Graham Bell. Graham Bell's a throwback. I haven't heard Graham Bell's name from Saskatoon in a long time.
That was a good dude, too. I like Graham. He was a good dude. He was a good teammate.
He was a bouncer to Sutherland in Saskatoon. Good dude. And what about are you guys are both staying at the Travelodge. Do they still have 2 pools?
Yeah, 2 water slides. They got one of the biggest water parks in Saskatoon.
But they used to have that regular pool where you could like have a flapjack and like a breakfast, and then the pool was right there. And then they built the one with the water slide in the late 80s. So I was wondering if they still have 2 pools. I like the Travelodge Saskatoon.
Yeah, no, I think there's just the one because there's a spray park and stuff like that too now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Hey,
think Luther's going to come out to Luther's going to come out to training camp next week for a couple of days, I think. So he's going to test out the pool and the water slides. I'll let him report on it.
Yeah. No, let's be honest. You seem like a spray park kind of guy. Hey, get that bucket that drops on your head. You never know when it's coming. Cold shot.
No. We got our own pool at our house. I'm not going to spray.
Yes, I forgot about that shallow
pool to stay away from the degenerates.
Shallow invitation we got early in the year last year that never came to fruition. It's all coming back to me now. Scarred on that. There was a lot of hot days last year too, where I was like, who do I know that's got a pool?
Oh man, we got a new smoker coming too. Got a Yoder smoker coming. Yeah, it's about to get elevated. I'm telling you, man, Barney. Outside of football, man, I'm the best at planning pool parties and never executing on them. So, like they're pretty impressive, man. These pool parties that I've planned are incredible. Just now, all I got to do is actually take the next step and do them.
Luke's a great politician. He says some stuff that gets everybody excited, and then follow through. There's none.
Yeah. No, we all need that guy. We all have that guy. Luke, why don't we get to camp here? Why don't you talk about this veteran group this year at camp, the continuity of it, and probably not going to be seeing a lot of complacency, one would think.
Yeah, no, and you look up and down the roster, right? You've got Morgan Runge, Albert Awachi, AJ Ouellette at the running back room. Obviously, Jamarcus Hardrick and crew in the O-line room. Receivers now, KSB's in his 5th year, right? It seems like we turned around, and this guy's a grizzled vet now. You got AJ Allen, CJ Avery. Hughes is practicing for the specialists. Like there's veterans across the board here, and I think that's what is probably so exciting from a football element for a lot of people in the CFL that are excited to watch the Riders in 25.
A lot of people have picked, like Farhan Lalji's pick last week for the Grey Cup this year was Riders, Alouettes, and he said the Alouettes were going to win. He's a huge Davis Alexander guy. He really likes what Montreal did. Are you of the same mindset that the expectations it's Grey Cup or this isn't a successful year for this Rider team and what they've assembled over the past few?
No, I'm pretty sure I said the Riders were going to the Grey Cup in like February, right? When free agency started and they started re-signing all their core guys. I got excited about that. But again, a lot of obviously things have to play into it. You got to go execute. You got to stay healthy. So the journey's not even close to started, but on paper, they're a team that should make a ton of noise this year. You're looking at like just the depth of this team. I mean, there are guys, for instance, on the offensive line that played a lot of snaps last year in 2024 that might not see the field at all this year, right? So they've gotten better in spots, and hopefully now they can just stay healthy and make a solid run.
Dave, you've been there since last week as well. From what we were talking about too, right? Like no complacency, or is that hard to, because we're so early in this, it could creep in?
I asked that yesterday. I said, right, continuity was the key word. And sometimes with continuity comes complacency, because remember last year, and I don't want to say players were on edge because I think that's a misrepresentation, but everyone had to earn a spot. And I don't think that that's necessarily changed this year, is that guys are fully aware that, some of the insertions that the Riders have made to their roster this year are veteran insertions. Like you look on the offensive line, right? Like you bring in a guy out of Montreal who could be starting in a lot of spots, and he's battling with number 2 reps right now.
You battle and defend against complacency through your coaching staff. And I'll give you a great example. I remember watching the Riders in 2022 and saying, like, these guys have got it all wrong. Like, they are out here acting like everybody's job is safe. They're acting like, you know, they've accomplished something, and that starts at the coaching staff, right? It's on the coaching staff to embed the process and the expectation from day one. And I think that to avoid complacency, you've got to continue holding people accountable, but again, repping things out, right? Like having intense practices, and the more you can start putting on your leaders in the locker room, the better. So complacency is going to start at the coaching staff, and then it sort of trickles down. And if you want to make sure it doesn't exist, it's got to be really something that the players and your vets don't allow in the room.
Dave, I'll let you throw to this because you did it. Have you had a chance to talk to Shane Ray today?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's one of the players that I talk about, a veteran insertion into this roster. And Shane Ray, defensive lineman, was a first-round draft pick in the National Football League, and we had a conversation after practice today.
Shane, it was pretty cool the first practice when you came running out and gave your head coach a big hug. What's it like being reunited with Corey Mace?
Oh, man, it's great. I always talk about how awesome of a coach Mace is, just his energy. Him being in Toronto with me, being my D-line coach, D-coordinator, we just got a real special relationship. And, you know, he's a huge part of why I'm out here, to want to be part of this culture and be a part of a team that he's leading. And that's just my dog, man. I was just happy to be out here reunited.
What does it mean having that familiarity with your coach and the system that he's trying to implement here for you?
For me, it's a lot easier to come in when you already know the system. You already know the expectations of the team and how things are ran. And Mace can have trust in me to know, like, you know, I'm going to do things how he would want things done and lead by that type of example. So it's just a good fit, you know, just being back with somebody like that, and you don't have to figure stuff out. It makes everything more seamless.
What did you know about the team before you joined them, aside from Coach Mace?
You know, I did a lot of research when I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go this offseason. And I saw that, you know, the team was number one in takeaways, one of the top defenses in the league. You had great playmakers on the back end with Milligan. And honestly, you know, the full structure of the defense, there's only a few pieces I felt like the team needed. And then offensively, we got guys that can score points, move the ball down the field. We got a great run game with AJ, receivers, 2,000-yard receivers. So, you know, I just did my research, and I think that the team is just really balanced. I think that we have everything we need to win at every level, offense, defense, special teams, and I'm just happy to be a part of that and try to contribute.
By my math, you turn 32 next week. So Do you feel 32?
No, I try not to feel 32, but, you know, my age is my age. I just take care of myself, man, and, you know, obviously we all know the older you get, the harder it is to deal with your body, but I just use the treatment, take care of my body, and be ready, and I'm ready to go every day.
What's the adjustment like from the American game back to the Canadian game? Obviously, you're very familiar with both.
For me, I think it's just eyes. For me, at my position, you got a lot of guys moving around in the backfield, a lot of people switching, flopping swaps. And with that, you know, we have calls that you got to understand what's going on with those type of movements. So just expanding my vision again to see those things, looking outside in, is really just the key for me.
Last question for me. You've obviously played at Mosaic Stadium before as a visitor. What's it going to be like wearing the home team colors? Man,
it's incredible. You know, I was blessed to come out here in the CFL and play for Toronto and experience those guys, but every time we came and played Sask, it was crazy. You know, the fans, the city, everybody that comes out, I mean, it was just crazy. And to be a part of that and have the city behind us like that and to lead for the province, it's an incredible feeling to be part of a fan base like that.
You took all my questions.
Hey, Luke, when you go back to your time playing, was there a player that stands out that would have came in, like some of these veterans that are coming in this year, a guy with experience coming in, and then, you know, the thought process for you guys, right? It's obviously a welcomed addition when you get these kind of vets coming in.
Yeah, it was interesting. I actually, in 2012, my last full season in the Canadian Football League, I was in that situation in Montreal. I was a vet, and I was on the other side of my career, and I was looking to really sort of get in with a team with a great culture and obviously push to win a Grey Cup, and the things that were nice in Montreal in 2012 is there were other veterans with that understood and wanted the same things. And I think that that's what Shane Ray gets to join in when you look at a guy like Mike Rose, Micah Johnson, again, just anybody sort of in that room that's been in Saskatchewan for a while is you're automatically aligned on the goal. The goal is the Grey Cup. And guys like Shane Ray, they've been around long enough, he mentioned it, that they know how to take care of their body. So I don't think that you feel the age in training camp right off the bat. Where you really start feeling the age is when the grind of the season gets going, right? That's when you got to focus in and really start protecting your body. But mentally, you're locked in. And it helps that Shane Ray understands kind of what Coach Mace wants to get done. But again, it's another guy in that locker room, especially one that's won a Grey Cup, for the young guys that have come into this room, right? You got Ali Saad, you got Charbel De Beer, who's still young but hasn't really won anything, right? Like, there are guys that are going to capitalize on the knowledge and the experience that Shane Ray has, but also the rest of the guys. So again, it's always nice as a veteran to be around other like-minded veterans, and it definitely helped me in Montreal. It made me feel at home right away when the things that I felt were important in terms of making it through training camp, they also felt those things were important. The staff also felt those things were important, right? Because we had been to a bunch of Grey Cups. So I think that he's in a perfect spot for himself. And he's also in a spot where there's not a ton of pressure, right? He can come in here, he can get the lay of the land, he can reestablish himself in the CFL as a pass rushing defensive end and see where it goes.
You guys mentioned adding veteran presence and Jake Mayer, backup quarterback, to be determined, I know, but he probably having the most experience. So far, have we seen the good Jake or the bad Jake? The one that lit up the Stamps when he first came in the league, or the guy the past couple of years? Your assessment so far?
I can only speak to one day that I saw him. I thought he was a little bit inconsistent. I think that he's also a guy, I know that he's been with Mark Mueller at points, but Mark Mueller was never the offensive coordinator when Jake Mayer was around, right? And I think that, again, he's trying to figure out just sort of where his role sits. It's going to be really interesting, actually. I think that obviously people understand that Jake Mayer is the number 2, but behind Jake Mayer, I mean, I really like some of the developmental steps that have potential to take place here with a guy like Jack Cohn, for instance. Today, I think he was one of the guys who threw one of the pick sixes, but he's got to get his timing down a little bit better, do things like not stare down receivers. But I think that he's got all the potential in the world. But again, the quarterback room speaks to the depth of this whole team, really, and there are interesting battles across the board. One of those things is the number 2 spot behind AJ Ouellette. You've got Kalen Laybourne and you've got Trevor Penix, but Mario Anderson obviously also is going to try to figure in there. And again, I think that the Mayer situation is just indicative of this whole team. There's a ton of depth, and and with that depth comes a lot of opportunities to be taken advantage of in training camp.
Okay, I don't see any wings or any buckets or anything. You guys haven't eaten yet. You guys are good to come on with you guys are good to come on with Darian, or are we going to be interrupting a meal?
No, we're good to go. You're good to touch base with doubles.
All right. Okay. Well, you guys, probably about 10 minutes time, we'll have you back. Probably just enough time for Luke to plan a pool party. The Red Zone in Saskatoon, where the fellas are, will be bumping tonight. Dave said it's been a good crew watching hockey there last week. It is the sponsor of our Saskatchewan Roughrider training camp reports, Red Zone and Bar, right next to the Travelodge across the parking lot.
Dude, the food here is killer. Yeah. Absolutely killer. I had a steak sandwich. The wings, they brought like 3 things of wings. I was all about that too. The lemon pepper ones, man, they went hard.
You're just rubbing that in. Do you know that? That's like, because it's 5:40. Everyone's hungry. The C's are starving. And you're now talking about your buckets of wings and how good the food is at the Red Zone.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's not starving. It's me and Dave Thomas, that's for sure. Red Zone hooking it up out here, man. This is awesome. This is a great place.
One of the things, and Luke, and I don't know if there's back when you and Doubles were playing, especially in training camp or whenever, who was a talker, offense or defense? And then who was a modern day version of that on this Riders? Somebody, because that's the funnest part of sports when you get to see behind the scenes is the chirps and stuff and the smack that goes on.
Who are the talkers? That's a good one. Man, I don't remember. You know what? When I first got into the team, like, you got to remember, we had some great leadership, like Jeremy O'Day, and like those guys weren't talkers, but whenever they did say something, it would like really hurt, right? Like, so for instance, they weren't always talking trash, but like Jeremy would, for instance, he'd be a guy that like, right, as you're going along, you'd be feeling pretty good. But if Jeremy would like, he would know that you were listening, and he would say something like, "Oh, don't worry about that guy's not going to be around for very much longer." You know what I mean? Yeah. And just really dig into your ribs, you know. Yeah. So
now when he says it, though, people pay attention.
Yeah, exactly.
No, dude, I can't say enough good things about Jo when he was a player. Man, he was awesome. But that's, again, I think that's why, like, we had guys like Jo, and it's why, you know, Barney, like you're pushing for a cool story about training camp, and like you just don't have one, because there were guys before us that kind of showed us the standard, right? And then as we became those guys, we had to carry that standard. And so, yeah, trash talk, man, it was always a DB. Lance Fraser. Tad Cornegay wouldn't shut up. He would piss off the offensive guys and the defensive guys. Like, he just pissed everybody off.
So why?
Like, that was my main thing, telling Tad to shut up during practice.
Why do I think that Mike McCullough would be just have those subtle, passive-aggressive chirps?
Yeah. Mike McCullough was awesome for that too. Mike McCullough was awesome for that too. And you know what the best part about Mike McCullough is he was very comfortable in his skin. He did not have an ego about his abilities. And so the best part about him is he would go after the best guys. And it was kind of a, like, I'll never forget, we were in stretch line one time, and Stevie Baggs was on the team, and he was having a good year, right? But it was like his one good year that he had with the Riders. And Stevie Baggs was needling Jarrell Freeman, who was a rookie at the time, right? And Baggs was like, "Oh, stupid rookie this, stupid rookie that," right? Just having fun, right? And Stevie was having a really good year. Like, he was the talk of the town. And I'll never forget, Mike goes, "Well, shut up, Stevie. You're a rookie too." You know what I mean? Like, it was just, he didn't care. He didn't care who you were. You were going to get it if you deserved it.
You know who I did find very loud today, and maybe loud's the wrong term, but CJ Rivas. Because, you know,
that's
CJ,
a leader.
Absolutely, in a very positive way, because I think that he was one of the most underrated players on the defense last year. And what he brings to this team, because he was battling injury and was nicked up a little bit at the end of the year, but you can see his confidence growing, in my humble opinion.
Well, he was one of their best players last year, and you're right. I think that if there was anybody who was underrated, it was CJ Rivas. He's a stud, and I think that, he's pretty vocal. DBs are vocal, right? I know some of the D linemen that are they're pretty vocal too. So it's good to see. I mean, it starts and ends with Jamarcus Hardrick, though, right? Jamarcus Hardrick is a ball of energy out there. This guy's in his 27th year as an offensive lineman, and man, he has all the energy of a kid coming right out of college. It's awesome to watch. He's the only offensive lineman who's running downfield, finishing the sprints with the running backs during team drill. Like, I love his energy and just the way who he is as a teammate. It's infectious. It's the reason why Winnipeg was so good when he was there, is they had him to be that just sort of spark plug for the whole team.
He's got coach written all over him after his career is done.
If he wants. You know, to me, it's a long ways away, I think. I think he wants to keep playing. And if you go to SportsCage.com, you can see where he was talking to me yesterday on the first day of camp. And the one thing that he said was that he couldn't sleep, right? Because he was battling back from his injury. And you can see in his eyes how much the game means to him. So I think he's a ways away from coaching. But, yeah, you know what? He's just an energy guy, and he's a guy you want to follow.
Yeah, coaching's a different animal altogether, though, right? You as a coach, you've really got to understand that it's not about the things that you did well as a player. It's not about your energy level that you brought as a player. It's about applying that and finding ways to get it through to you. And that's why I'm so sort of captivated by good coaches and sort of watching them. I think that Coach Mace has an opportunity to be one of the better coaches that have came and stalked the sidelines on the green and white at the end of the day, because he really understands guys, but more importantly, how to get through to this generation of player.
When we had O'Day on last week, we asked about Adam Korsak retiring, and he explained the story that he's got a real-life job at Rutgers and all of that, and that there's a new punter coming in, but we had said, more importantly, that means a new holder for Brett Lothar. Special teams update. Who's got the magic finger when it comes to holding for Brett so far?
That's a good question. I didn't look at it today, but I'll tell you what, Joe Couch, that dude's got a leg.
Yeah.
Like, that dude has a leg. I saw him rocking a couple of kicks today here during special teams period when they started out. But they didn't do, but to be fair to me, it wasn't just because I was being lazy that I don't know who was holding. They didn't do a ton of field goal work today.
They did it. Actually, did it prior to
Luke's easing into camp. He's easing into camp.
Yeah, it's just, it's a crescendo, boys, It's a crescendo.
I know. Pace yourself.
Yeah.
Long 14 days.
No, but you're right. They did it away from.
Yeah,
Surprised you don't have an Afghan or some sort of comforter. You're wrapped up in there all comfy in that chair.
Oh, don't worry, boys. That's coming. I just, you got to listen. When you're in a new environment, the most important thing to do is assess your surroundings and then make the adjustments as you see fit. So there's a high likelihood that tomorrow I'm bringing the bed sheets from the hotel in here, right, with a pillow. Yeah.
So can I ask a question? If the food in Regina was horrible at training camp, was Doubles the kind of guy that would have paid one of the towel guys or one of the assistant volunteer traders to go drive to Dairy Queen to get him something to eat so he wouldn't starve? Because the concession or the cafeteria food was so bad.
There always were veterans that didn't want to eat the cafeteria food and would take the young guys out, and if they didn't want to eat it. And I remember Drew Green was like that with me, man. Drew Green, to this day, me and him are at each other's throats, but that is my big brother. So I'll do anything for Drew Green, man. But he was one of the guys that kind of was like, yeah, let's go get something real to eat. You know what I mean? But yeah, Regina, and I feel terrible about saying this, by the way, because I'm good friends with President Jeff Cashin. So, but he wasn't the chancellor there back then, though. So maybe that's why.
I
but
guarantee it's
brutal,
not the
guys.
same. It's not the same crew running the calf. Anymore.
No. It was so bad though.
If it was that bad, they probably didn't last much longer after that. Let's be honest.
Maybe that's where the bear was running away from, the cafeteria at the U of R, just trying to get away from whatever the menu was.
Towards taco time.
Honestly, the bear incident is I think it's a little bit of a tragedy. This is my green hat. I think that, unfortunately, as we continue to develop Saskatchewan, right? Like, man, bears and raccoons and coyotes, they're losing their environment, man. So unfortunately, I think we're going to see a little bit more of those things wandering in. But you're right, though. Like, just tranquilize it and just drop it at the top of the Cabell Valley Highway, and it'll just sort of wander into that town. Leave it for them to deal with.
He's being serious because he's been calling the bear Paddington all afternoon. So they bond.
I'll tell you a bear story. I'll tell you a really cool bear story. I don't know if it's in college. Yeah, I'll tell you boys a pretty cool bear story in college. It's NSFW, if you know what I mean. Not in a bad way, though.
Okay. That's tomorrow's program.
Sure.
Pads. We got about a minute and a half. Pads tomorrow. What are we looking at for camp tomorrow? What are you guys focusing?
I think tomorrow and Wednesday's practice are going to be critical practices just to see where the energy level is at, who's out there leading. This is, again, your first day, pads get on, and all of a sudden you're thinking fast, right? So it's a day where guys start separating themselves too, right? And again, you find your Joes. out of nowhere when the pads get put on.
I think it's most important for the offensive line. There's
Yep.
so many guys that have got playing time experience that
Yep.
you got to find a way to set yourself
Well,
apart.
and you know what? I mean, and the nice part about pads is that it gives you a real-time look at protection. And for those quarterbacks now, right now the clock is moving a little bit quicker in their head, right? So again, I haven't been blown away with the quarterback performances so far, but I think that's coming in. And days like tomorrow, set that up.
Wait till Tommy Stevens starts slinging it. Watch. It's going to happen.
Hey, listen. Stevens, again, I think that Trevor Harris is going to be the guy, but I know that we brought Jake Mayer in here to be number 2, and that's probably what he's going to be entrenched at. But I'm telling you, man, that can potentially be a competitive group.
Okay, boys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. It's been stressful. Take a load off. Relax. Have a good evening.
You know, the only stress here involved is the fact that I can't actually recline this thing the whole way back because the wall is here, and it's actually stopping me from maximal reclining. That's
by the end of the week. By the end of the week, you'll figure they'll just bring you in a cot. Watch. You'll be in one of those. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Okay.
It'll be amazing.